peace. Now, when we want to talk about land, my final thing on the politics side, we want to talk about land. Number one, why isn't there such thing as the West Bank? Well, because Jordan controlled that area, and they just identified it from political strategy to call it the West Bank because it was west of the Jordan River. It's always been known as Samaria or the Shomron region. It's never been known as anything else. You can go back hundreds and thousands of years. Why Palestine? That was the name given by the British when the British controlled the area. You know who holds the who holds passports for Palestine? The Jews that were allowed to come, the early Jews that were allowed to come in after the Holocaust, after the Holocaust. Okay, and after it became a state. I would encourage you, there's an old movie you can go out and get. Girls, Paul Newman plays in it, he's young. Okay, so anyway, it's called Exodus, and it's a 1960s movie. I would encourage everyone to get that movie and to watch it. I have my friends whose fathers were part of the original teams, the Irgun, who came in during the battle to take their land. And I'm going to say this about land. If for 1 minute we're going to tell Israel, who has a right to their land, it was given to them by a covenant, and they don't even have what was given to them by a covenant. And if you look at a map of Israel, and you see the size of Israel, of the piece that they have, the only thing smaller is Lebanon. And you look at all that the Arab communities have, which is a whole lot of land, with a whole lot of natural resource that Israel doesn't have. And you want to say, Israel, I want you to give up this part, which will allow terrorists to shoot rockets into Tel Aviv and kill a few more Jews, and take over. Because remember, all the terrorist leaders, including the supposed moderates, Abbas, there is no Israel on the map. All the Jews are wiped off to the sea. If you're going to do that, then ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that you need to go back to the British times when Britain had America. And you need to give them back the land. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to give Texas back to Mexico? What are we willing to give up? Are you willing to give your land up to your neighbor if your neighbor comes over and says they want a piece of land? You better be ready. Because if you're going to ask that of Israel, without even being there, without even knowing what's going on, then you better be prepared to do the same. Do the same here. And that's what I have to say to even my elected officials. If you're willing to sit and legislate to give it, that Israel must give up land in order to get money to build the fence, then you best be prepared to give back some of America. Now, of course, I don't want to give up my land. I don't want to give up America. Our men and women fought and died for this land. We came in and we put our stake in the ground at different places in this land. We settled some of these cities and these towns. We came in and we just put a stake and we built a house and we called it a town. We usually named it after somebody. We did exactly what the people of Israel are doing in the hilltops. Just going out and taking claim to their lands. Most of them are buying it. But they're being kicked out. And sometimes by their own government. Now, let me fast forward because we got to come to an end, and I do want to open up for any questions. When I look at Israel, you stand in Yaffo, which you all know as Jaffa. The rich history part, all of you probably have heard at some point the story of Jonah. Jonah and the whale. Well, right out of Jaffa, the place still stands. A little place on the hill. Gorgeous, beautiful place on the Mediterranean. And I look out onto the coastline of Tel Aviv, and it looks somewhat like Seattle with high rises, and you can see it, almost see San Francisco. You can see different aspects to it because they all came from different, they take their architecture from different areas. But when I look in our areas, I know it took us a couple hundred years. Israel The Bible says in Ezekiel that that land would not produce until the children of Israel came home. That Tel Aviv was an absolute swampland. And you can read back into many great authors, and you can go on my website and read blogs, because I put it in there. I talk about these things. That was a swampland. Today, high-rises, beautiful communities, businesses are booming. In this downed economy, Israel's economy is rising. The worlds around them are falling. You might ask, what is their relationship? What has been their recent political relationship with Israel? If their economies are failing and Israel's is booming, gee, somebody must be pleased with the Israelis. Their economy's booming. Is it easy to live in Israel? No, you talk to the young people, it's like, yeah, no, Wages are low, prices are high. I know that. I've lived there. I've talked to them. In the last few years, it's gotten very expensive to live in Israel. And it's very hard when you're young, just like here. Israel's trying to figure it out. They're a new country, 63 years old. They'll get it figured out. Right now, the young people are putting their tents out on Rothschild and saying, hey, we need lower housing costs. We need more money. Frankly, they need to get away from socialism and get more into capitalism, lower the tax burdens. We all know about that. I could send a couple of people over there, my husband is one, to help them. But Bibi is good in finance, and he'll get it figured out. But that's what Israelis want. They want you to leave them alone and leave me alone. I got this other issues going on that you're talking about. You need to focus on your own nation, because your own nation is set. We're considered the big Satan, and they're considered the little Satan. They're standing on the front line of the enemy that wants to destroy us. And I know my Israeli friends. I know them well, and they're standing guard. And they will stand with this country no matter what we do, how much we might diss them, how much we might, turn our back on them, whatever. That country will never, ever, ever turn its back on us. And they are over there with their arms open wide saying, will you please come and meet us? We're real people with real problems. I'm trying to pay my house payment. I'm trying to make my rent. I'm trying to buy a car. I'm trying to pay for the schooling and the education. I'm just like you in a very small land. But they are the people of real courage. They are the ones that during the hardest times pat their daughter on the head as she goes off to school. And they say, I love you, baby. Take your lunch. Stay away from garbage cans. Don't go if you see a bag on the roads, walk away from it. Or they're the husband who says to the wife in the morning, okay, honey, I'm going to take the A train, you take the B bus. And God, with Baruch Hashem, if God's will, we'll come home together tonight. We'll meet at home. Why do they take two different forms of transportation during the times of suicide bombings? Because you didn't know what bus somebody was going to walk up and bomb. And if you have not looked at the videos of the bombings, the suicide bombings on bus systems during the 90s in Israel, then you really need to do it. And you need to look at the images of a family, a 3-month-old baby that was slaughtered while she slept next to her father. But to really understand it, you need to be in Itmar, because you need to see the hill that a couple of young kids proudly walked up to come up and to sneak in a window. Then you have to read their testimonies, how this was their desire, was to go in and kill. They were proud of it. The courageous people are those that still live in Itamar and say, this is my home. This is my land. And I love it here. And I welcome you to come. I welcome you to come and see me. This place, Israel has done the miraculous in 63 years. The road system looks like here. It's just like home. They have all the transportation problems that we have. They have major tie-up in Tel Aviv on the Ayalon. You don't go there between 2 and 5. You'll never get through. But they have the bus. They have the light rail. They have the arguments about light rail. They have everything. They are the only democracy in the Middle East where every person is free to be. And they are a loving and kind people that are doing everything they can for their neighbors. And I know the truck drivers that bring the food into Gaza. And I have pictures of what Gaza really looks like. So with that, I want to invite any of you to join me on a trip to Israel. If you really want to see the real Israel, and you want to meet and discover the very heart and find truth for yourself, then I'd really enjoy having you with me. I'm going in January. There's some flyers up here about the January trip and the places we go. You see everything. It's a packed time. You can also grab a card and just put your information if you want to get on my email list. I promise you, you do not get a slug of emails from me. Just blogs, updates on what's going on. And you can follow me on my website. You can also follow me on Facebook. And I only post on Facebook pretty much what has to do with Israel. I am a person that appreciates facts and truth. So whenever something comes out from me, you will know that I have researched it to the best of my ability. Doesn't mean I'll always be right. I want to encourage you to stand with Israel, to get informed, and then to share with our political leaders. We need to build economy. We need to build business relations with Israel. We will be blessed if we do, because there is that promise that was given to Abraham. God said, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And all the nations of the world will be blessed through you. Whether you're a believer or not, I don't care. And you don't need to care. What you need to understand is that promise is there. And if you look at the nations around the world, we sure have been blessed. And who was the one that it was through? It was through Abraham. God keeps his promises. Israel is flourishing. The children came home and Israel is flourishing. I think we want to keep it that way so that there is freedom for any person who today calls themselves the Palestinians. We are a hope to a people who are under an authority that cares less about them. That's what Israel is. So I want to encourage you again to please join me on a trip. Go to my website and really read the documents and listen. And
Website is what? What is your website?
My website is Tani, TaniZarelli.com. Very simple. There's lots of blogs. There's podcasts on there. You can listen to speakers out of Israel. And there'll be more things coming to the website in the future. If there are any questions, again, I want to thank you